I'm Camden. I'm the manager of student success, and I'm here to talk about how to apply for awards because that's one of the frequent questions we get, obviously, as students are making their educational choices and preparation. I'm going to first start with introducing who the team is. So Michael Brookhart is a grad of the Royal Roads' MA in Intercultural and International Communication program, and his primary focus is on assisting students with financial aid and awards. Milena Ward, who is a current student of the MA in Conflict Analysis and Management program, she provides assistance to him for 2 days a week. And I am Gwen Camden. I'm the manager of student success. So I manage all of the services that help to remove barriers for students. So that's financial aid and awards, accessibility services, and counseling and learning strategy. I also run the major research scholarship applications for students. And I'm going to start with defining what are the different types of awards we have. So all of these fall under a package called awards. And under that, we have an award. And an award is a non-repayable recognition for achievement of something. It could be grades, it could be leadership or community involvement, or just excelling at something. A bursary has financial need as its primary eligibility criteria. So it likely has other criteria in there to help choose between candidates, but a bursary is primarily intended to assist students with financial need. A scholarship, fellowship, and grant are very large awards, generally $5,000 and up, and they're intended to support learning of whatever it is that the scholarship donor intends for that learning activity to happen. A loan is a repayable financial assistance for your education. A prize is something recognizing something. It could be a photo prize of a best picture, or it could be top GPA. So it's something you can hold on to generally, or a very small monetary value, something around $200 or $50, or something as meaningful as a plaque or a medal. Emergency means something has happened that is unforeseen, temporary, and reasonable. So tuition and living fees and food shouldn't be considered emergencies. So most universities offer awards under these categories, and they're intended to support a student at the different points in their program. So the Entrance Award Program is available to students to apply to before their program starts. So we've got an award application system that tells you what competition that you can join when you log into My Admin, My Awards, and you can access that as soon as you submit your admissions application and you get that number, which we call a student number. So the Entrance Awards, if you're applying and the competition is a deadline date before your program starts, you'll see the Entrance Awards. And that is our primary recruitment competition. So that's where larger amounts of funding are, because we hope that students are looking at how much is tuition and how much do I have to pay for it. The Entrance Award Program, if you have a shortfall in savings or loan opportunities, that's where the Entrance Award Program can help you with that unmet need, so that you can be confident when you start your program that you have the funding you need to pay for it. In-course awards are available to students after the program begins, or when the deadline falls after your program starts. And that's where we put the funding for competition that's mostly donor funded, so through our foundation awards, and donor criteria directed. And so you'll see the criteria when you log into the system, and then you attach one one-page essay describing your eligibility for all of those awards. And I'll tell you more about that in a second. But the in-course award program is where students compete fairly for tuition and living costs. So those predictable expenses again. Development awards are for encouraging specific activities. So it could be internship funding, or it could be, what are some of the other, conferences and extracurricular that is essential basically for your educational development. That's what the development awards are. And we run those kind of off cycle whenever it makes sense for the group that we're intending those awards to be for. And we'll run those competitions specifically by emailing those eligible candidates and running it as it's appropriate. Emergency funding is, again, for unforeseen emergency circumstances that come up along the way. And it's a very small pot of funding and intended to help students with, like, examples are a student was out canoeing one day and dropped his prescription eyeglasses into the water and couldn't afford to replace them. So that's what emergency funding is for. Or for if you're living in a unsafe accommodations, like you've had an argument with your landlord or your roommate or your spouse or something like that, and then something comes up and you need to get new accommodations immediately, we'll help you out with that, pending the availability of funding. And convocation awards. So throughout your program, you start earning those convocation awards. And as I was talking about those medals, that's where those primarily come in. We have a Chancellor's Award for one student in each program each year who received the top GPA. And in each cohort, because you come in and generally you study with the same group of people throughout your program, and throughout that you see that somebody's got personal development, leadership skills, the person who made the learning environment enhanced or better or more positively challenging, like a really good learning experience. That's the person that we want to recognize with our Founders Award. And then we run the research scholarship competitions. And the top three here, so the Canada Graduate Scholarship Masters, the Doctoral Awards, and the Vanier Canada Graduate Scholarship Doctoral, those are the premier research training scholarships funded by the federal government, so Canadian federal government, and open to Canadian citizens and landed immigrants. You have an opportunity to apply to those competitions before your program starts or during first year, because they're generally, well, the first one, the Canada Graduate Scholarship Masters, is a 12-month research training scholarship. So it's $17,500. And you need to have 12 months remaining in your program by the first award uptake date. So this year, I'm going to be running the competition for the Master's Scholarships and the Doctoral Awards this fall. So as long as you have 12 months remaining in your program by the first award uptake date, which will be May 1st, 2022, you can participate in those. And those are very prestigious awards. So we're looking for students with mostly A's, and ideally at the doctoral level, some publications, conference presentations. So we're looking for students who have academic excellence and some research potential, and that's shown by the typical research activities that students will do as they progress towards their future career in research. Now the MyTax Accelerate internship, that is open to international students, and that is 4 to 6 month internships. Well, I'm air quoting internships, where you would find a company who's willing to contribute $7,500 towards your research learning and solving their research problem. And then MyTax would match that and send it to me to give to you. And it doesn't need to be associated with any academic credit. You just need to be an active full-time student to take that up. You do need to find that company that's willing to contribute. So, and you do need to put at least 20 hours a week of effort into that project. So ideally, it's aligned with the research phase of your program. And then you'll have the appropriate academic supervision in place for that as well. Our website has more information about all of these scholarships, including some videos and tips and blogs, more about what it is and how to find that company. And yeah, there are a ton of external awards. So if you do a search through scholarshipscanada.com, iconic.com, the Indigenous Bursary search tool, so if you put that in your Google search bar, educanada.ca to find international awards. That's where you're going to find the majority of awards that you just find doing a basic search. We get daily 2 or 3 award notices to post on our website, and we just can't maintain that currency of information because it could be a one-time one. Deadlines change every year, values change, so we're just like, we're not going to put it on our website, but I'm going to send you to scholarshipscanada.com, and I'm going to send all of our students to search there as well. So let them manage that information so that you can find the most up-to-date and the best information you can. And I would suggest you put in not your primary email address as your contact or log in for those scholarship search tools, because you're going to expect to get a lot of spam out of them. So don't use your primary email address. But what you can do is you're going to put in some information about yourself, like what are you studying, where are you studying, where are you from, what subject, like all of those things that helps to narrow down what are the awards you would possibly be eligible to apply for. So it does a lot of the legwork for you, and it's massive, massive scholarship database. So tips to success when you're applying for awards: look for funding before you need it. I know you can run into emergency circumstances, but you should be able to do a budget and foresee where the pinch points are going to be in your educational journey, and make sure that you mitigate that as much as possible before you get there. Because honestly, tuition and living, those are very predictable. They shouldn't end up being emergencies. Make it a part-time job. So it's guaranteed, if you put some effort into the application and you've done some diligent work towards it, it'll pay off better than a job at Starbucks or the gas station for sure. Don't wait to the last minute to apply. It's never a good idea to apply the day before or the day of an application deadline, because technology might fail you, or it could be on an Eastern time deadline, or it could be on a Sunday and nobody's available to answer your questions. So make sure that you apply at least a week in advance of the deadline. Generally, you're given very generous period to apply for it, and I would use that time wisely. It's reasonable to start with a base essay and then tailor it to the opportunity. So when you're applying for an award, it's going to have its own criteria, and a successful applicant or somebody who's very competitive for that award has addressed the criteria. It doesn't matter how interesting or heart-wrenching your story is if you don't address those criteria. The people who are making decisions have a duty to the donor to make sure that their award is a good match for somebody, and they have an intention about who they want to provide assistance to. So let's say, for example, we've got an award called the Vic Painter Memorial Scholarship, or the Royal Colwood Golf Club Scholarship. And it's for students who are in business related degrees and have an interest in golf. Expect that our scholarship selection committee is going to be doing a word search for the word golf in there. If you haven't mentioned it, you're not going to get it. So even if you have to be creative about it, so you say, well, if I had the money, I would definitely be golfing. Or I drive past a golf course every day and I wish I could golf. Like there's just something about it. And then be a little reflective about that. Like, what is it about golf? So show them that you care about that subject, and how does it reflect in your life? Even if it's not exactly the perfect match, we're going to be looking for the closest match sometimes. So in your essays, be precise. So when it asks for volunteering, for example, be really clear about what it is you volunteer at. So name the organization. How much time have you spent there, whether it's for 1 year or 2 years or seasonal, and what kind of responsibility did you have? I mean, it's not good enough. Honestly, it's not good enough to say, I volunteer, I put in some time, I give, now help me. We really want to see some of the nitty-gritty detail. What did you like about it? What did you learn from it? So give us some really good information to just understand what it is that you've done and how it's been of development to you in your preparation for your future, which is basically what the awards and bursaries are for. They're about investing in you. You're going to get some no's and expect that, but you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So don't stop at your first no. That means that it didn't mean that you weren't worthy of it. It meant that there was another applicant that nailed it. So keep trying. Further on in your program, the awards committee will be looking at applicants and the awards that they've received in the past. And if you are neck and neck or tied with somebody else, and it's an arm wrestle decision basically, and they see that the other person has received awards before, they're going to give it to you. So make sure you're persistent, and practice definitely does help. So where do you start looking for awards for Royal Roads or for information as a Royal Roads student? Visit our website. We've put a lot of effort into giving you really good information on there. I would suggest you don't blindly email financial aid and say, my name is Gwen, and what awards am I eligible for? Because we don't know you. And the awards have criteria that only you know the best about what your eligibility is. So we've given that information on our website to empower you to find those opportunities. And we've got some blogs on there to show you basically every phone conversation we have. I've written a blog about, so you can find answers to your questions whenever you want them. You don't need to wait for us. And then if you have specific questions or you'd like to book an appointment to speak to somebody because of your individual situation, you can email our RU Financial Aid at royalroads.ca or book online using that libcal.royalroads.ca appointments. So thank you for joining, and I'd love to have any questions.
Thank you, Gwen. I can navigate the chat and share with you some of the questions that we have.
Great.
And some of it you already responded. Some of the questions were at the beginning, but I'm just going to share with you again, and maybe you can reinforce some of that information. Okay. So where can we apply for scholarships as an international student?
Oh, yeah, great question. Okay, so international students, it's the exact same application process as domestic students. We have tried to keep our awards as open and inclusive as possible. So 97% of our awards opportunities are open to international students. Don't look for eligibility international students. Basically assume that unless it says it's strictly for Canadian citizens or permanent residents, you can apply to it. Now, the only ones that are restricted to Canadian citizens are those donors that it's their mandate to assist a certain sector. So let's say the Canadian Federation of University Women, for example, that is for Canadians and for women. And they can do that because that's in their mandate of their foundation. But generally, we try and keep things as open as possible.
Fantastic, thank you. If someone is interested to apply into our doctoral program, but there is a financial challenge to start with, is there any opportunity listed that can help them start the process and to start the program? Like, it's not a challenge to financial in the future. The challenge is to start the financiation. Oh, I cannot.
I know what you're saying.
Oh my goodness.
How do you get started?
Exactly. Thank you.
Sure. So, yeah, it definitely comes with a measure of risk when you're starting a program and you haven't got all that cash sitting in the bank account. But if you have a reasonable plan, it should be fine. And disclaimer, don't, in 2 years say Gwen said it was going to be fine. But what I would do is I would apply definitely to the Entrance Award program. We have, for Royal Roads University Entrance Awards, each quarter, so 4 times a year, we run the competition and we offer 1 award of 10,000, 2 awards of 5,000, and 4 awards of 2,000. And so I know you're probably going to be wanting to aim for that 10,000 one. So that's where you put a lot of effort into addressing the criteria and to, you know, talk about what it is that your journey to, through, and from Royal Roads, what does that look like for you? And yeah, when you apply to that. And also, as well as that, we offer doctoral entrance awards. That's definitely one to keep your eye out for. And you'll see it in 2 competitions a year leading up to the intake date of the DSOCSI or the DBA program. And those awards are $10,000. And depending on how many students we're projected to have in that program, we have that percentage of awards available, like maybe for every 10 students, there's 2 awards, something like that. But anyways, they're worth $10,000 and they're renewable for 2 years. So you'd get it $10,000 in your first year and $10,000 in your second year. And then for years 3 and 4, we offer doctoral scholarships. And that's for support of your research. And that's $10,000 in year 3 and $10,000 in year 4. So those are the biggest ones that we can offer through Royal Roads. And okay, so realistically, every day we get questions like, I'm from this country and I need a full tuition and living expenses and travel. I need all of that covered. And honestly, Royal Roads is a small institution and we just don't have that. Maybe the Goliath institutions like UBC or SFU or University of Toronto do. We're a very small university and we can't offer scholarships of that size without creating problems for other students because tuition runs the school, right?
Thank you, Gwen. I think you already just answered that question, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Are there any specific entrance scholarships that are for international students that they can be considered automatically, or they're those generic that you were talking about?
Our awards are all application based. So we don't look at grades coming in and offer scholarships. So you do need to actively apply to the entrance award competition. The next competition is launching on June 1st and it runs for 2 months, and then the application deadline falls on August 1st, and it closes 11:59 p.m. Royal Roads time.
I like that. We move from Pacific time to Royal Roads time.
Royal Roads time.
So that would be Pacific time zone. That is, so right now is 8:24 a.m. In Victoria. Can MSCs or MA students have METACs internship prior to starting their thesis?
Yes, totally. So it doesn't need to be attached to the research phase of your program, but you do need to have an academic supervisor and a company supervisor. So you've got somebody giving you direction from the company side and somebody giving you direction from the academic side. The tricky part is finding the academic supervisor when, for a MyTex, when they're not, so they're generally assigned as you lead up to the thesis phase of your program. And that's part of their requirements as being an academic is supervising. And they have a set number of students that they supervise each year as part of their contract, or what it means to be a faculty member. So you might have some challenge finding a faculty member that has extra time or space or capacity to supervise outside of that requirement. But if you can find it, great. We have some students that hold 3 or 4 MyTex awards in a row. In fact, we have some doctoral students that they get $120,000 MyTex one after another, like 6. It's the best way to fund a doctoral program, as far as I can tell. Like this MyTex award was perfectly designed for Royal Road students.
Wonderful. And I think we have covered all the questions in the chat box. So I'm just going to ask if anybody else have any questions, feel free to type those questions in the chat box. And maybe in the meantime, when if we see maybe a few more questions coming, is any tips? I think you shared some fantastic, like great information, fantastic details, tips and tricks how to be successful when you're looking into financial aid. But anything else that you would like to share with the people that are today with us and they might be watching this recording later in the day?
Yes. Okay. So one of the tips, a commonly asked question we get is for the entrance and in-course awards with the essay-based competition. So you're going to see a variety of awards in a list, and then you're going to check off the ones you're interested in applying to. And then you're going to write one-page essay describing your eligibility for all of the awards in that competition. So it's not one essay per award, it's one essay per competition. And we do that because that's what students want. We used to have one essay per award, but I would just get the same essay with a different title. So we have responded to that and responded to the need of our selection committee to and their poor eyes by the end of the day after reading 130 essays. So yes, one essay. Use that space wisely. It doesn't need to be APA style, so that's 12-point font, Times New Roman. No, you can be a little bit creative in there to try and catch their eye. And I would come at it as a human being in there. Try to avoid like the third person or the essay or like the CV style, very cold, kind of like this is factual, but explain yourself, reflect in there. But don't waste time saying, putting your address and the date and dear, whatever, just dive straight in, give me the facts.
Thank you so much for those tips. What about thanking the donors? Is that a common practice?
That's a requirement, actually, because our donor relationship is really important to us so that we can maintain that relationship so that future students have the benefit of the awards that you've received. So we do require a thank you letter where there is a named donor. If it's a group of people who have contributed to it and we just can't send the thank you letter to 100 people, we're not going to ask for a thank you. But if it's somebody who contributed $5,000, we're definitely going to want to thank you from you. We put in the notification of award email to you tips on how to write a thank you, like an effective thank you note to a donor. And we'll chase you down if we don't get it. It means that much to us that future students receive the help that they need.
That makes sense. It's kind of how we keep building that relationship and how we keep supporting the future railroad students. So we kind of take care of each other as a community. I have the last question for you. And the question is about, should we wait until we are admitted to look for funding, or should we start looking for fundings even though we have been not admitted yet? What will be what is the best time?
Now, because part of your educational planning includes affordability, right? So when you're applying to, let's say, undergraduate program, for example, the BCom, no, not a good example, BA in Professional Communication program, there's a 12-month accelerated version of it, and then there's a 2-year version of it. Very different affordability. So the 12 months, you're paying the same amount of tuition as the 24-month program, but in half the time, so in 12 months. And if you're relying on government student loans and you're a BC resident, no dependents, you can see maximum is $16,640 in a year. For the 2-year version of that program, you can get that twice. For the 1-year version, it's only $16,000. And you get double the awards opportunities. So when you're making choices about what program you want to take and what format, it's really critical to know what kind of funding you have in order to support that, so that you can put your full effort and attention and all of your energy into your academics rather than worrying about money.
Wonderful, Gwen. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate all the information, and hopefully that information will help prospective students and current students to get ready to become a Royal Road student. So thank you so much for your time. We were really excited to have you today. And
my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. So that is the end of our session, but we will start the next session at, I'm just looking at our calendar right now. Our next session is, I'm in the wrong time. Sorry. Our next session will be at 8:45. We will talk about tips for international applicants. So just please stay if you want to learn more about how to apply if you are an international student. I also want to use this time for do our giveaway. So some of you have been here before. So basically, I'm going to count to 3, and the first person that raised their hand after I finish counting to 3, I haven't started, will get a prize. So is everybody ready? The hands that are up right now, they will not count because I haven't started. So here we go. Okay, I'm waiting for people to lower their hand. if everybody wants to start lowering their hands so we can start this. So I'm going to start now. 1, 2, and 3. Andres Concha was the first person that raised the hand when I counted 3. There was a few hands up before I started counting. So Andres, thank you so much for joining us today. And my colleague Selena is going to reach out to you so we can get your email as well as your address so we can send that gift. So thank you, everyone. And as I said, our next session will start at 8:45. Andres, yeah, that is a good, like you won almost a scholarship. So that is like, we are in a good track. So then our next session will be at 8:45. So if you want to take a break, please do, and we'll be with you shortly. Thank you, everyone.